Okay, starting off with the next part of the chapter of leases here, we'll look into the topic of mid-year entry into the lease. Let's quickly get that done. So automatically you understand what do you mean by that. You get into a lease agreement partway through the year. You get into a lease agreement partway through the year, right? Partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay, partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay, partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay, so what you do is partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. That's what this say. Okay, partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay, just a minute, guys. Partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay, yeah. So partway through the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay, partway through the year, we get into a lease agreement. Okay. Okay. So partway into the year, you get into a lease agreement. Okay. So now what happens is, how do you do the accounting for that? Okay, it's very simple. So let's look into the numbers here quickly, simultaneously. So Shaheen entered into an agreement into a lease agreement on 1st October. So when did they, please write it down, guys? 1st October. When did they get into a lease agreement? 1st October. 1st October. Okay, when did they get into a lease agreement? Easy, 1st October. 1st October they got into a lease agreement. Nothing difficult here. Okay. First day of October they got into a lease agreement. 1st October they got into a lease agreement. All done, 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 done. 1st October they got into a lease agreement. 1st October they got into a lease agreement. The lease required 4 annual payments, 200,000, 200,000, 200,000, starting on 1st October 2008. Right? They got into a lease agreement on 1st October 08 and they have to make a payment that year itself. Okay. They have to make a payment that year itself. Okay. They got into a lease agreement on 1st October 08. They got into a lease agreement on 1st October 08. When did they get into a lease agreement? They got into the lease agreement on 1st October 08. When did they get into the lease agreement? On 1st October 08. They got into the lease agreement on 1st October 08. The lease required 4 annual payments of 200,000 commencing on 1st October. 1st October they will make the first payment. Right? 1st October they will make the first payment. The lease required 4 annual payments, 200,000 each commencing on 1st October itself. So it's when are you making the payments? You see, when are you making the payments? Yeah. Is it in arrears or is it in advance, guys? What is happening here? Arrears or advance? Are you paying at the start of the year, end of the year? Best guess?
Advance.
Advance.
Starting.
Yeah, starting. Advance. Right? Why? Because you're paying the date on the same. Yeah. On 1st October only started the lease. On the first day only you have to make the payment. Right? It's an advance payment. First day only you're making the payment. Okay. The plant has a useful life of 4 years. Okay. Useful life of the plant is 4 years. You'll use this where? Yeah. You would consider this if it's lower than the lease term. Yeah. Enter into lease agreement again. Plant has a useful life 4 years to be scrapped at the end of the year. The present value of the lease payment. They've already given you the present value of the lease payments. The present value of all the future lease payments, discounting it, they've already given you the present value of lease payments. How much is the present value of lease payments? Present value of lease payments, please write it down. What is the present value of your lease payments? What is the present value of your lease payments? Okay, they've already given you the present value of your lease payments. Again, this is also given. What is this? 700,000. Okay, 700,000 is the present value of your lease payments. Okay. The implicit rate in the lease is the discount rate they have given in the lease is 10%. That also they have given you. Discount rate is 10%. Discount rate is 10%. Okay. Your lease payments also they have given you. How much you will make the lease payments? 800,000. Okay. When did you get into the lease agreement? 1st October. Okay. So you're getting on October 01 to 008. This is when your lease starts. Commencement. Okay, when is the commencement of your lease? 1st October. Right? What is the nature of the agreement? What is the type of the agreement that you've got into? Lease agreement. Right? All the information given. Yeah, what is the type of agreement? Lease agreement. When it's starting 1st October. Lease payments 800,000. Discount rate this. When are you making the lease payments? In advance. When are you making the lease payments? In advance. Yeah. These are all the basic information that we've collected till now. Right? All the basic information done. Now only accounting is left. Basic information all collected. All the basic information is collected. Type of the agreement, commencement, lease payments, discount, when, and present value of lease payments. Okay. Type, commencement, lease payments, discount, when, and present value of lease payments. Right. So all this is the information that is given. Now, what do they want us to do? Please extract the following statement in respect of March 2009. That is end of the in 6 months period, not even 1 year. They are saying in 6 months period. Your year end is from 1st April. So what is your year end? What is your accounting year? What is your accounting year? 1st April. 1st April to 31st March. That is your accounting year. You got into a lease mid-year. Right? This is your accounting year. Yeah, clear? Yes. Yeah, let's go to the information here. First of all, here, Sharan, what is the type of agreement?
Advance.
Lease agreement. Okay, when does the lease start?
Lease start at 1st October.
1st October. Okay, how much is the lease payment that you will make regularly?
8 lakhs.
800,000. Perfect. What is the discount rate?
10%.
Okay. Next, Mamta, when do you make the payment? Advance or arrears? Advance. And what is the lease liability amount already given? 700,000. And what is your accounting year, Mamta? To 31st March. Okay. So they want from 1st April to 31st March. How is it looking like? They want as of 31st March. Right? They want it as of 31st March. As of 31st. As of 31st March, what are the numbers? Right? What is the question here finally that I'm solving? What is the question that I'm really solving here? What is the situation as of 31st March? Right? What is the situation as of 31st March? Okay. What is the situation as of 31st March? What is the question that I'm solving? That what is the situation as of 31st March 2009? What is the accounting I will do? Right? Financial statements as on 31st March 2009. Okay. Financial statement as on 31st March 2009. Okay. What's the financial statement as on 31st March 2009? This is the question. Okay. This is what they're asking. Okay. Done. This is the question. Let's quickly get done with it. This is the question. On 31st March 2009. Okay. Type done, commencement done, lease payment done, discount done, when, present value, accounting year, question, all clear. Now let's look into it. So we'll make a P&L, we'll make a balance sheet. So two things we will write, P&L and balance sheet. Okay. So Shine is the lessee, right? What is it? Which party he is the lessee? So what is his party? He is the lessee in this particular transaction. Right? He is the lessee in this particular transaction. He is the lessee. So lessee, what does a lessee do? Unless it is a low value lease, it is a low value lease or low value, he'll record in the liability side. He will record a lease liability. In the asset side, he will record a ROU. Okay. You will record a lease liability and the ROU. You will record a lease liability and the ROU at the start of the year. What is the number? We want the number here, we'll put at the end of the year. But it all starts with first putting the number at the start of the year. In the P&L, what do we put? We will put the depreciation and then we'll also put the finance cost, if anything. So okay, these are the numbers that we'll have to look for, right? At least we are clear with this. This is what we'll be looking for, right? First, we are clear with this, right? This is what we are looking for, right? This is what we are looking for. In the balance sheet, two things we will record. The lease liability and ROU, we are clear with that. Okay, in the balance sheet, we'll record two things, lease liability and ROU. In the P&L, again, two things will record, depreciation and the finance cost. Okay. These are the two things you'll record as lessee accounting. By the end of the year, all these should have numbers. By the end of the year, all of these should have numbers, minimum. And in the lease liability also, we will bifurcate into two types, non-current liability, current liability. So instead of lease liability directly, we will bifurcate into two parts, non-current and current liability. So guys, all this should have numbers by the end of the year. Okay, this is what we have to eventually fill. This is what we are eventually filling here. Okay, the question is fill the data here. That's the question. You have to eventually fill this. Okay, we have to eventually fill this. Okay, so let's start it. Step one. So let's start the step one here. So we'll find the value at the start of the year. We'll start with finding the value at the start of the year. Let's start with the finding the value at the start of the year. Okay, let's start with finding the value at the start of the year. Okay, let's start with finding the value at the start of the year. Okay, let's start with finding the value at the start of the year. So what is the step one? Okay, so let's start with finding the value at the start of the year. Okay, So starting of the year, we need the value. Lease liability, how much? ROU, how much? Lease liability, starting, they have already given 700,000. They've already given the present value of future payments and they've not given anything else. They've not given any direct cost also. So you got the value at the start of the year. Your lease liability and ROU should be the same, ideally. Right? At the start of the year, your lease liability and your ROU should be the same. Lease liability is this. ROU again, same. So guys, step one done. You found your ROU and lease liability at the start of the year. I would love to put this amount, but in balance sheet, guys, sadly, we all put closing numbers. We cannot put opening numbers here. In balance sheet and P&L, always we put closing numbers. So that's why these 7 lakhs, I can't put. I can't put 7 lakhs and 7 lakhs, but at least nevertheless, I found it out. I found the starting value at least. Right? I found the initial value. I am doing the initial measurement here. In step one, what am I doing? Something called as initial measurement. In step one, what I'm doing, something called as initial measurement. Initial measurement is done, finished, nothing else to do. ROU initial measurement done, lease liability initial measurement done. Now step two, I'm doing subsequent measurement. Right? Subsequent measurement I'm doing now. Right? Very step by step I'm going everything. Now I'm doing something called as a subsequent measurement. Yeah, Sharan, what am I doing now? Subsequent measurement. Initially what I did? Initial measurement. 7 lakhs, initial measurement done. Now we're looking into subsequent measurement. Step by step, we're looking into subsequent measurement. Yeah. So now for lease liability, what will be the subsequent measurement? So let's look into the subsequent measurement here. So first I'll make the simple table we spoke about yesterday, guys. Whenever the payment is at the start of the year, what is my table looking like? Right? Simple table. I'm not even going to go anywhere else. Just follow the same table. My payment is made in advance. In this case, because they're telling it at the start of the year. The same table I'll copy. For lease liability, I'll copy the same table. For lease liability, right under this I will do. I'll take the opening number. Balance brought. First I'll put the year. Just keeping it as similar that it gets. Then I'll take my opening number. Then I'll make balancing brought down opening number. Then the payment that I will make. Okay. Then I'll make the payment that I will make. After the payment, I will get the subtotal. After I get the subtotal, I will take the interest. After I get the interest, I will take the closing balance. That's it. Same table that I have seen. You can see payment advance. Same table I'm writing it down here. Nothing different. Okay. Nothing different. I open at 7 lakhs. Okay. I open at 7 lakhs in the year. Easy. I'm opening at 7 lakhs. Okay. I'm opening at 7 lakhs in the year. Yeah. You make sense of this. I'm opening at 7 lakhs. Okay. So how am I starting? I'm opening at 7 lakhs in the year. Okay. Initial balance is 7 lakhs. Okay. How much do I pay every year? They're saying over the next 4 years, you will pay 8 lakhs. So 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs. Every year, how much I will pay? 2 lakhs into 4. I will pay 2 lakhs into 4 years. How do I know? How do I know? What they're saying? Right? Payment of 200,000 I will pay over the 4 years. How much I'm paying? 200,000 over 4 years. Next year, 2,000, 2,000, 2 lakh, 2 lakh, 2 lakh, 2 lakh. Right? So I made the payment, immediately subtract the payment here. Just staying at par with the table. Nothing complicated here. Right? I remove this. How much am I getting? Right? My balance is 5 as on 1st October. Immediately I pay at the start of the year only. So my balance is 5 as on 1st October. Okay. 1st October. So now 6 months of interest I will only calculate because in this year only 6 months is left. What is this company's year end? Yeah, Mamta, what is the year start and end of this company? April to March. So they want the data as of March. So I can take only 6 months interest. Right? So I will add only 6 months interest. 10% I've already written down 10% here. Only 6% of that. So 5 lakhs into 10%, guys, we will get 50,000. But only 6 months, so we'll get 25,000. 25,000. So this is my total liability as of the year end. 5,25,000. 5,25,000 is my liability, total liability. But guys, do we write any total liability? Right? So if you look at current and non-current, there's no 525 anywhere. We have to split it. We have to split it. There is no 525 over here. So we have to split it. Yeah. What we will do is we will split it. Okay. So we split it over here. We bring this here. Okay. 525,000. We carry it forward to the next year. Okay. We carry it forward to the next year. 525. Okay. We carried it forward to the next year. But in the next year also, if you focus, what is happening in the next year? We carried at 525. Okay. We carried at 525 as the opening balance. 525 is the opening balance. In the next year. And the next year again, what we will do? We will make the payment. 2 lakhs we will make the payment next year. Okay. Next year also we will make the payment. 2 lakh. And how much is the subtotal that we figured out here? 325,000 will be a subtotal. Okay, this would have ideally be the case. This would be for the second year, right? But yeah, but how is this looking like here? If you look here, what is really happening? Okay, if you look here, how is this really going like? Yeah. So what have they told very clearly? There is no interest charge in the first half of the first year. In the first half of the first year, when would the year have started, guys? Their year would have started in April, right? If I say my year would have started in April, okay. So in April, there was nothing, there was no lease agreement, and there is no 6 by 12 interest also, right? In the first half, there is no opening amount here because for 6 months I didn't have any interest. I started only in April. Sorry, I started only in October. April to October, there was nothing, right? April to October, there was nothing. So clearly, we make sense when the year, ideally, when a year starts. When a year starts is on, for these guys, when is the year starting? Yeah, when is the year starting? A year is starting in April. So this table will made as per the year. So, but here are, we have nothing over here. First of all, because the lease never started only. So there's nothing here. First 6 months, there is no lease also. There's nothing even over here. There's no interest also in the first 6 months. Nothing because it never started. Right? Our opening ideally was nothing. The interest would have been was nothing. Initial balance, obviously, we started at 7 lakhs. Initial balance, we started at 7 lakhs. But there was nothing here. Okay. So there's no interest charge in the first half of the first year. So in the first half of the first year, there was no interest that was charged. Okay. In the first half of the first year, there was no interest charge over here. Right. And the interest charge in the first half of the second year reflects the interest on the balance at 1st October. Right. And the interest that has been charged, here they're saying whatever interest has been charged during the year, the interest that is charged in the first half of the second year. And now the interest that is charged on the first half of the second year. Okay. The interest that is charged on the first half of the second year. Now they're telling the interest that is charged on the first half of the second year reflects the interest on the balance at 1st October. Now, what do you mean by that? Right? What do we mean by that? On whatever the balance was on 1st October. Right? Whatever the balance was on 1st October. Okay? On 1st October, whatever balance we had. Right? Our balance on 1st October was 5 lakhs. Right? And the interest that is charged in the first half of the second year. Right? The interest that is charged in the first half of the second year. Right? This interest that is charged on the first half of the second year. It reflects the interest on the balance as on 1st October. Right? It reflects the balance as on 1st October. So first half of the year, again, 25,000 has been charged. Right? First half of the year, again, an interest has been charged of 25,000. Right? Why only 6 months interest? Important question. Why are we not taking the full year interest here? We are not taking the full year interest over here. We're taking only 6 months worth interest. Okay. What are we doing? We're taking only 6 months worth interest. So on 525, what has happened is, what we have done, taking 525 next year, this will be a starting amount. Next year starting, we will have 525 in the next year start, right? If I just make this table over here, right? In the next year, we take our opening amount. This is the first half of the year. Any interest in the first half of the year. And then we have our initial. This is how the first year started, at least for us. This is how the first year started for us. Okay. Let me just get this organized. Okay, perfect. So here the opening had nothing to do because we didn't have anything. Okay, and then we had any interest, not at all. 700,000 here. The initial, it started at 700,000. Okay, the initial started at 700,000. Okay. So the saying Shine entered into an agreement with a plant on 1st October 2008. It entered on 1st October 2008. But when did the year start, guys? 1st April. The opening, I would always take it as 1st April. I would take the opening as on 1st April. That will be my opening. The lease required 4 annual payments of 200,000 commencing on 1st October 2008. Okay, commencing on 2008. Right. So don't you think, guys, if they meant that the payment is made in advance, the payment should have come over here. But for the payment to be made in advance, when will it have to be paid, guys? Considering their year end. Considering their year end, if the payment has to be made in advance, when do you think the payment should be made? First April. Absolutely. But they're telling they are always going to make the payment on 1st October, not on 1st April. Okay, so it's not really a case of an advance here. Okay, so as we read the requirement, we understood that the year end is not October. Looking at the first two lines, we would have understood that probably the year started in October would end in November, right? So here, if we are making the table of this, right, it is incorrect. Why? Because the year end starts in April, and if they are due to make payments on April, then that's an example of a advance payment. But here, what is happening? They are making the payments in October every year. What are they doing? They are making the payments in October every year. They are not making any payments on April. They're making the payments in October every year. That is how it's worked out for them. Okay, that is an important observation, and that will happen as you build the question. As we directly jump into the conclusion, it might not make that much sense. So first we did this part, and now we look back on how the sum has been framed just to make sure we have the total clarity. That the year starts on April, right? We build on some interest till October, and then in October we make the payment, and then we have the closing. We take the interest for the next 6 months. So now how I'll frame this table is that my opening starts till October, the interest will be get accrued. In October, I will make a payment. Okay. In October, I'll again make the payment. Okay. So 6 months into the year, I've made a payment. And then again, for the remaining 6 months, the interest will accrue. And then will I have the closing. Right? Then I'll have the closing. If you think about it, then I'll have the closing. Because they are making the payments here, what can I do? It would be lovely if they made the payment in April or they made the payment in March. It would have been so easy. Yeah, it would have just been so easy. Had they just made the payment at the start and had made the payment at the end, life would have been so much more easier. Yeah, life would have been so much more easier if they had they done that. But it's not really the case. Okay. So only for the first year, how it's looking like is that they entered into a lease. So nothing at the opening, nothing in interest for the first 6 months. But only for the years, first year, we'll have to fill this column called as the initial, right? So initially they started with 7 lakhs. Initially they started with 7 lakhs. Then they made the payment of 2 lakhs right on that day, right? Right on that day they made the payment of 2 lakhs, and there'll be no other entry in this column, to be honest, in initial payment. So then they made the payment of 2 lakhs. Okay, then the 6 months, next 6 months interest they charged. What is the next 6 months interest that they have charged? 25,000 is the next 6 months interest that they would charge, 25,000, and then we'll have the closing. 525,000 will be my closing. Okay, next again, what do? I take 525,000 here, right? And then I will increase it by the interest here of the 6 months period. Yeah, we'll add the interest here. And what is the interest after adding it? It comes out to 550. This will be the payment, right? This will be the total value of my liability. And then I'll make a payment of 2 lakhs. Okay. And at this point, we are considering. That's all. And at this point, we are considering all the numbers. First, let's make sense of this here. How is everything happening? Okay. Once I will just focus on this for a minute. Okay. So my year would have started here ideally. This is, first of all, we have to get rid of the fact it doesn't look like a payment which is in advance. First of all, let's move that idea. It looked like that for sure because that considered probably if the year was October to November. So start of the year, which starts on when? When is the opening year, Sharan?
So opening is on 1st April.
1st April. Very good. Okay. 1st April. Do we have anything last year in the year 2008? In the year 2008, we had nothing. Next year 2009, we have certain things. Okay, so 2008 opening, we didn't have anything. Why? Because the lease started when? 1st October the lease started. The lease started only in 1st October. Okay, now just look at it from this perspective. Okay, let's just clear our headspace. Okay, and just focus on this part here. Okay, let's just focus on this. On 1st April, nothing happened. There was no interest for the first 6 months. Mid of the year, we have made a payment of 7 lakhs and we started a lease. And then on October, same day, we have made the payment 200,000. And for the next 6 months, we'll calculate the interest because interest gets due from October to March. Year is ending in March. 6 months interest. This was the closing. This closing again started off. We initially at the start of the year, we've added the interest. right? Again, mid of the year, we've made the payment, right? After making the payment at the mid of the year, as on this date, right? As on this date, right? After making the payment, right after making the payment, right? What is the value here? 525, 550, 550, 350,000. Okay. 350,000, right? So in one cycle of 12 months, interest has to be calculated once, which it has been 6 months here, 6 months here. So 350 is my non-current liability. So this is just a version of your payment made at the start of the year, but not really made at the start of the year in this case. So the moment the payment is released and what is left is your non-current liability. And interest is just calculated for a 12-month period in one cycle, which it has 6 months has been calculated here, 6 months has been calculated here. Mid-year entry into your lease, this is your non-current liability, 525, 350. Yeah, 175 will be your current liability. This comes as a balancing figure. Okay, once again, I'll just explain it. Okay.
Why they not calculating October के बाद वाला interest maybe?
यस, क्योंकि कल अगर आप हम वो टेबल को फॉलो करें तो पेमेंट करते ही जो बचता है वो अपना नॉन करेंट लायबिलिटी होता है. अगर I'll just show you the table once again. क्योंकि this is not purely a sum which is made at the start of the year. It's not purely a sum made at the end of the year. So here नॉन करेंट लायबिलिटी कब होता है? जब आप सेकेंड ईयर की पेमेंट करते हो. जैसे आपकी सेकेंड ईयर की पेमेंट हो जाती है, जो बचता है वो नॉन करेंट लायबिलिटी है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे जैसे हमने सेकेंड ईयर की पेमेंट करी, ठीक है, तो वो जो बचा वो अपना नॉन करेंट लायबिलिटी हो गया. ओके, so just taking it right from the start, 1st April 2008, we had nothing. Okay, at this point we didn't know, because we didn't know whatever was going to happen, when the interest would come, whatever the situation would be. So we started on 1st October, 6 months into the year, we started with 7 lakhs. Yeah, let's look here, Sharan. Year started in April. When did my lease start?
And initially started 1st October.
1st October, 7 lakhs, right? Immediately that day I made the payment.
Yes.
2 lakhs I made immediately that day. Okay, so how much value is left? My subtotal is how much? Subtotal at 5 lakhs, yes. My subtotal is here 5 lakhs. Okay. Then on 5 lakhs, I added the interest for the remaining 6 months. I got 525. This 525, I carried it forward over here.
Yes.
Then I added interest for the first 6 months immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. Because are they making any payment at the start of the year? No, because my year is starting in April. No payment at the start of the year. So immediately at the start of the year, I'll add the interest. 525 will be the payment. Okay, interest I will add it off. Then in October, they go ahead and make the payment. So they made the payment. Immediately after making the payment, whatever is left is non-current liability. Subtract that from your total liability. That is my current liability. That's it. So 525 is total. From that you remove non-current. Whatever is the balance, that is current. Yeah, that's it. That's all they want to know, which takes a little effort. Okay. So again, this is a hybrid between a start of the year, end of the year. So you cannot just have that standardized table over here, right? But we are just going as it is. We will put opening always as 1st April. I suddenly can't call the opening as 1st October, right? I suddenly can't call the opening at 1st October. Why? Because the opening will always be 1st April. We cannot change that fact. Because year starts in April, so opening always has to be in April. So nothing here. There's no interest. We wouldn't know what to do here. They started on October, but April to October, you cannot discount the fact that it's part of the year as well. So on October, we started your initial payment, but they're saying immediately on that day only payment was made. So okay, they made the payment here. That means all payments will be made now in October only. I can come to that conclusion. All payments will be made in October. You can't make payments at different times of the year every year. So now all payments will be made in October only. All 4 payments will come here. So okay, I'm going to make it mid-year. They're making the payment. This is my subtotal. Then 6 months interest I have to still add. Then I got 525. Then again I carried it 525. First 6 months I accrued the interest. Then I made the payment. Now 1 year, 12 months interest is calculated. 12 months worth interest is calculated. The moment 12 months worth interest is done, and the moment the payment is completed for the next year, I know automatically what is my non-current liability. Right after the payment that has been made and not accruing any interest for the next cycle, just after the second payment is made, I got what my non-current liability is and I got my current liability. So this is just following this table. If I just split it over here, we are just following this table. If you see here, the moment the payment is done, what is left is non-current liability. So you see the moment this 2 lakhs is paid, whatever is left is non-current liability. Okay. Whatever is left is non-current liability. Okay. So that is the logic of this particular sum. Okay, so just go through it two to three times, try to make sense of it, and if you have your questions, we will make sense of it. Okay, so this is what my clear-cut understanding is how we will look into doing this sum. Is it a start of the year sum? Not at all. Is it a end of the year sum? Not at all. Is it something that's happened mid of the year? And this is how you deal with it if it's mid of the year. You have to respect the parts where interest will be accrued. So here interest is accrued, no doubt. Here interest is accrued, no doubt. So 12 months the interest has been accrued and then you are making the payment. So whatever left is your non-current liability. Had it been the start of the year sum, very good. End of the year sum, very good. Then we wouldn't have had so much discussion. But this just because it is a sum which has been done from the POV of accrued, from the mid-year. Mid-year we have entered into the lease. So suddenly we can't call opening figure as 1st October, right? This you would love to initially look into calling the initial period. But this initial does not mean brought forward because the year is always going to start around 1st April. If the year is starting on 1st April, that is our opening. So year opening, we have interest, initial payment, 200,000. After this payment, what is left? 500,000. Interest accrued for 6 months. We got the closing. We would have stopped the sum here, but they want a bifurcation. So this got carried forward here again. So from payment to payment, from one payment to the other payment, we'll get our answer. So this is our subtotal. From this, we got a first subtotal over here. That was 5 lakhs. From that, we removed the 2. So we have 3 lakh 50. Yeah. And then 3 lakh 50 is non-current. This is current. From 5, we went to 525. From 525, we went to 550. From 550, we removed 2 lakhs. We got 350. That is a non-current and a current liability is 175. This is just the entire thing, nothing else. Okay. So we got the initial measurement. Now we looked into the subsequent measurement. This was the subsequent measurement of lease liability. So lease liability, this is the subsequent measurement of lease liability. This is the subsequent measurement of lease liability. Can we just move it here? Okay. This is the only one sum that is a little different here. Okay. So okay, just a couple revision, I guess, guys, will be good to go. Okay, this is the lease liability. How the subsequent measurement of lease liability looks like. Okay, lease liability subsequent measurement. Okay, now we'll look into ROU subsequent measurement. What is the subsequent measurement of ROU? Lease liability subsequent measurement. Now ROU subsequent measurement. Right? What is the ROU subsequent measurement? 700,000 divided by the useful life 4. So I'll get my depreciation. How much is it, Sharon?
1,75,000.
Yeah. And subtract that from 7 lakhs.
Which one, sir? 7
And do 6 months of this because we are only going to take till
7 lakh.
into 6 by 12. 1 year is this. Take 6 by 12.
87,500.
87? 87,500 is my depreciation. Okay. Here's the subsequent treatment. And so my closing value of my asset at the end of March. Subtract 70 and 87,500. 7 lakhs minus 87,500.
Sir, 6 lakh, 12,000.
6 lakh?
12,000.
12,500. Okay, this is the subsequent treatment here. As on March. This is as on March. That's why I'm taking only 6 months depreciation. This is March 09. Only 6 months worth depreciation. Okay, 6 months worth depreciation. No, we are taking only 6 months worth depreciation. Okay, so 87,500 is my depreciation. 612,500 is the value of my asset. Current and non-current liability both 350, 1750. Okay. Finance cost for this particular year. Okay. The finance cost that we are calculating for this particular year. What is the finance cost? Right. When we consider this particular year only. Right. Once we have split this. Okay. We have taken the finance cost for this particular year 25k. Okay. That belongs to this particular year is 25k. Okay. We are only considering from October to March, which is 6 months period. Right. We are only considering from October to March. Right. From October to March we are considering, which is a 6 month period. And October to March. We started in October. Right. We'll go only till March. So October to March for a 6 month period is only 25k. Right. October to March for a 6 month period is only 25k. Okay. So I'm taking only a 6 months period. October we started, 6 months worth only till March we will consider. Because that is my year end. So this is my only finance cost for the year. This is my only finance cost for the year. October to March. Yeah, because my year ends at carried forward, right? My year ends at carried forward. This is my total liability for the year. They wanted non-current liability, so I went to the second year. I would have never even needed this calculation at all. The whole reason I did this calculation because I want to do the split. My sum very clearly ends in March of a year. 525 I would have my life in this particular, it would be very easy. I'll be breathing very easy if they just asked the total liability. Right? And 6 months interest for that year. The year would have stopped. Very clearly we would have understood this. But because they want the next year and we want the current and non-current, that's why the whole drama here. And so it wouldn't just been difficult at all. That's why we take this 525. We take 6 months till the payment of the next year. Till the payment happened in the next year, and then after the payment, what is left? We needed the second because we needed the split. Had they not asked us very clearly, we have done the sum. 25,000 is my finance cost. I started in October, March my year ended. 6 months, how much did it do? 10%, 6 by 12. 25,000 is the finance cost. Okay, so that's what I made over here. We need to fill all the data. We got depreciation, 87,500. 87,500, I got the depreciation. Finance cost, 25K, I got finance cost just for a 6-month period. Non-current liability, 350. 175,000. That's all I needed. All the data that I needed is filled now. All the data I needed is filled. Okay. All the data I needed is filled. Okay. All the data I needed is filled. Okay. All the data I need is filled. Yeah. Yeah.
So how the emotions that really financial statements, but it's also for the year, first, for the, but then we consider sure the second year, we started paper. We obviously find the correct amount of liabilities, which I understand how it works. But then we have to follow it down to show the following year before, just to first give you the one of the pictures. That's on that show. Because obviously the lease liability will change, also the current liability will change in next year.
Yeah, you're generally just asking for a 1 year period. Just for a 6-month period, they're asking. So you don't need to go more calculation. Beyond this, very rare. I've never even seen a sum like that ever in any exam kit that they've asked beyond. But
Same in the sum. Just
sure. So what we would have done, we have gone the same logic. Imagine they would have asking, what is it for the next year, right? They'll ask for the next year. So we just continue this. So we'd add another 6 by 12 interest over here on the 5 lakhs. That'd be another 25K, and we'll get the closing of the second year. So the second year closing that we will get over here would be at 375. Okay, 25,000 gets added here. 375 we get the closing over here. But the year ends in March. And see, carried forward means year end, brought forward means start of the year. Okay, so we start of the year, we end of a year, but still some time is left for the year to end. So this will be 375. This is not the year end. Yeah, this is not the year end. This is the day on the day after they make the payment. What is the subtotal after the payment? This is the subtotal column. We just see CF as the year end, BF as the year start. Start of the year BF, end of the year CF. So here we are just at the subtotal column. We still 6 months left in the year. So this becomes 375. 375 comes over here. Then we add another 25. It becomes 4. From the 4 we remove the 2. Subtotal is 2. Next year का non-current liability 2. और 375 minus 2. तो 175 अगले साल फिर पे करना. Yes. That is about this. Okay, so just go through this sum, guys. If you just have a couple of reads, you've understood most of it, right? But if you just get through everything, you will start to just see what were the gaps or what were your logic that is not being answered here. Okay. And if you do that, you will get more clarity. You can reach out. Obviously, we'll have the next class. You can reach out to me in the next class and we will close this. When I'm clearing all the doubts anyway, if you have, once you do the questions, you will add it on to that. Okay. So just go through this. Though, just remember the whole reason you needed this the extra calculation is because of the split. Had you left it at 350 also, 550, you at least still get 85% of the marks of the sum. Right? Everything else you know, if the split feels very difficult, if you didn't do that, you'd still score 85% of the marks. And that doesn't mean you don't learn the split. That to say that this topic is not difficult. It's one single current and non-current split was difficult. That's it. And which we do it 5 times, the 6th time we will understand it. Right? From the logical sense also and from a presentation sense also. So when I can't understand something from an logical sense, I just try to understand from a presentation sense. Then I do enough sums on that and then slowly the logic just comes to me. Right? Just don't list something if that logically is immediately not appealing to you. Right? So as you just do it a couple of times, you'll start to see for it. Or as you go deeper in the chapter, you automatically the blocks start fitting. Okay. So that is how you will approach this. Okay. So just remember this gave you confusion, right? This whole line gave you confusion. Why did the whole line give you confusion? The whole line gave you a confusion because you needed the split. If they didn't ask you for the split, your sum would have happily ended up here. Nothing was difficult. Okay, so that is all about this one. Okay, one last sum we'll just finish here and we'll close this chapter is low value assets. How to go about the calculation of low value assets. So first of all, what is the rule for low value assets? Yeah, anybody? If the lease term is less than
1 year.
or the value of the asset is tentatively less than $5,000. Absolutely. Okay, so that is called as a low value asset. So now how have they broken down this question here? On 1st April, again, a year started on 1st April. Taggart acquires telephones for its sales force under a 2-year lease agreement. So under a 2-year lease agreement, he has acquired. Under a 2-year lease agreement, he's acquired everything. The terms of the lease require an initial payment of 2,000, followed by 2 payments of 8,000 and each. So each 8,000 and 8,000, 2 payments, and an upfront initial payment of 2,000. Okay, so 2,000, 8,000, 8,000. So the total payment that you will make. Although the standard does not give a numerical definition of low value, it does give examples of the type of assets. So here we have got to know it's a lease because of the telephone, right? Not really about anything else giving us an indication. Telephone, tablet, small furniture, right? The list is given over here. Telephones, tablets, small personal computers, and small items of furniture. If any one of this come, that is a strong enough evidence that it could be a low value asset, that it is a low value asset. Okay. So any of the 4 is specifically mentioned. So here the fact that you've told telephone, that should ring a bell. They will not give you an exam like this. That's a low value asset question, right? It's telephone. So you know telephone, it should ring in your mind. Okay, telephone, right? Telephone again falls under low value. So what you do, you see how much you will pay throughout the life, 288, right? Over the next 2 years, right? One is so you're paying immediately. So, and then over 2 years, the totally you will pay is 16, 18, 18 by 2, 9,000 you will be paying. Okay. And now they are asking, and when did this start? On April. Now till when are they asking? Till December, right? Jan, Feb, March, you don't need to consider. So 9 months worth expense in this year, only 9 months worth expense you would consider, 6,750. Okay, the expense in this period is not as the same. Payment as 2,000 you're making, but in this the total expense is 6,750. But you're paying only 2,000. So the accrual is 4,750. Right? This year you tentatively only had to pay 2K. Right? That was the agreement. But from an accounting perspective, the total expense that was accrued this year was 6,750, out of which you have paid 2K. So 2K is the correct expense. But what you've used but not paid, that goes to 4,750. That is called as an accrual. Accrual is anything that I've used but I've not paid. I used electricity for 1 year, I paid my bill only for 10 months. So at the end of the year, the 2 months that I did not pay but I used the electricity, that 2 months is called accrual. I used electricity for 12 months. I used electricity for 12 months. I used electricity for 12 months. 10 months bill I have paid. 2 months bill I have yet not paid and now it's year end. 2 months bill I have not yet paid, it's year end. But I've used electricity that time. But I've yet not paid. So that is called accrual. That will carry it at the end of the year. I will call it an accrual. Okay. So the expense would be the entire 12 months bill would be on my expense. Right. The entire 12-month bill will be my expense for sure. But whatever I have not paid is accrual. Okay. Whatever I have not paid is accrual. Okay. So here they're saying that for 9-month period, the total expense is 6750. Of that, 2000 I've paid, which goes to cash flow. Whatever I've not paid, that goes to my accrual, right? I'll carry it as a liability. Under current liabilities, I'm carrying an accrual of 4750, right? And total expense in P&L is 6750 for 9 months. Expense will be full year. Whatever I did not pay is an accrual. Whatever I paid, that goes to cash flow. That has nothing to do to go to P&L, right? Whatever I have paid, that goes to my cash flow statement. 2000 I pay, that goes to cash flow statement, right? In the P&L, I have the entire 9 months expense. And whatever I have not paid related to this year, that is getting carried forward to the next year, that is my accrual. So first of all, what gave me it's a low value asset question? Telephone. The moment it's a telephone, I know it's a low value question. So how much am I paying right now? 2. And over the next 2 years, 8 and 8. So totally over the next 2 years, how much payment is gone? 18. Over the next 2 years, how much payment is got? 18. Okay, so that accrues to what? On a straight line basis, I have to do mean same amount every year, same. So 9 and 9. But in this year, since it started only 9 months for the year, when this started, so 6750 would be accrued as per 9000, only 6750 I will take for 9 months. And out of the 6750, that had to be expense for 9 months, which is the expense recorded correctly done. Only 2 months has been paid. So what has not been paid is called as accrued. I'll carry it as an accrual, current liabilities. So what is my total expense for 9 months here? Quickly, Arpita. What is my 9-month expense?
So total is 6750.
Yeah, that's my 9 months expense for 1 year. Why am I only considering 9 months for a year?
And because of the days, the 9 months, 100 times 9,000.
Because we acquired the asset only in April. Yeah, year starts from Jan to December. I acquired only in April. So I would consider only from April. That expense started in April. I just simply can't just bring it on Jan, Feb, and March because there was no expense that time. So 9 months expense is 6750. Though 1 year ideally should have been accrued would be 9000 for 1 year. For 9 months, it would only the expense is 6750 for 9 months. I can only take it for 9 months. Next year, I'll take it for full 12 months. Okay. For first year, I can only take it for 9 months away as an expense. 6750 is an expense. Out of that, only 2000 has been paid, which goes to cash flow. Whatever remaining, that is an accrual. That's it, done, finished. Okay. Whatever is pending, that's an accrual. Okay. How do we define accrual here, Indrani?
Accrual means we are paying it later.
Yeah. But have we taken the benefit of the service?
Yes, we have taken that. So we are paying for 2000 initially.
Yeah. But we have taken the service of 6750. हमने 6500 का खाना खाया है. ठीक है, खाना खा लिया. You had a lunch of 6750. You had a very good meal. But you have paid only 2K. But you have taken the benefit. For what you have taken the benefit, but you have not paid, that is called accrual. You take it to the next year as accrual. You take it to the next year as accrual. But you have eaten the food. You have taken the benefit for sure. You have eaten the food, but you have not paid the money. But you have eaten the food. But you have not paid the money. But you have eaten the food. But you have not paid the money. But you have eaten the food. Yeah. But you have eaten the food, but you have not paid the money. Right? So how much money you have not paid is called accrual. Whatever money you have not paid, that's called as accrual. You took an aeroplane, you went to Thailand. You took the aeroplane, you took an Air India, you went to Thailand. Yeah. You took an Air India and you went to Thailand. Total cost was 6750. 2000 you already paid. And you reached Thailand. Okay, but you paid only 2000. So whatever ticket price that you have not paid yet, in your books it is accrued. That's it, done, finished. But total expense you will still say 6750. That is the ticket price. You paid only 2000. Whatever you did not pay, accrual. Whatever you did not pay, accrual. That's it. Okay, so that is all about this. Okay, that brings an end to our entire lease chapter. There's nothing